Sure, but he's like, I'm gonna gather Henry VIII here. What was the other guy's
Richard
name?
III.
Rickford the Third.
Rickford III?
What was the name that you just said?
Richard III.
It's not Henry VIII. It's Richard the
It's
Third.
Richard III. He is a Richard III. He's a total Richard.
Oh my gosh, I can't.
Welcome back to the Jack in the Shadows podcast for season 2, episode 3. We read chapters 7 through 12 of The Lord of Chaos.
We did.
Which was filled with new plot developments.
And names, and naming of names.
As always, I'm joined by my favorite Frank and Barry's, Dave and Adam. Say hello, Dave.
Ooh.
I'm going with Frank.
Oh,
I'll be the Frank.
Dave is the Frank?
I wish that I had the first choice.
Right. You missed out. He who spoke first. You are the berries to my Frank, Adam. I'm never going to say that out loud again.
Berries. I don't want to be. No, I don't want to be them. I don't want to be the berries to your Frank. I just want to be my own berries.
Well, it's a little late.
Let me be my own berries.
No, apparently. What's a berry without a Frank? What's a Frank without a berry? I mean, you know.
I mean, a berry without a Frank is a berry.
Is it though?
It's not a Frankenberry.
Is it though? Like Boo Berry cereal, Frankenberry. We're combining the two.
Oh man. Oh, there's like the there is also what is the brute, the something brute, that is the cereal from the 70s.
The Beirut.
It's like it's a wolf, some sort of wolf that's something brute.
No,
anyhow,
that's a reinvention that they came out with later. That's not an original. It's not an original Kellogg's.
Oh no! He's talking about.
I know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
What is it called then?
I don't remember what it's called, but I remember it was
Brute Wolf.
Brute Wolf.
Bert Wolf. Sure.
Bert the Wolf
right,
cereal. Yeah. It was not a bestseller. Right. They killed it after 2 weeks because no one wanted to eat poor Bert.
We will start our real conversation with View from Dragonmount, which will take up most of the podcast, and then we'll be followed by our discussion of Tower 2 in Salad Days.
Not to be confused with Toss Your Salad Days.
We will then get into the
Tower 2.
changes to tradition that are occurring in Forget This before wrapping up with our Coplin of the week and Who Leveled Up.
Yeah, I'm ready. Are you
ready?
I am gonna figure it out.
Let's launch into these chapters here with Chapter 7, A Matter of Thought. So
A Matter of Thought.
The chapter opens to Elayne getting her 100 strokes in with her left hand before bed. Of course, there is a really reference to the heat. You get the firm impression that Nynaeve and Elaine's little space is pretty ramshackle. The two have been kept very busy by the Aes Sedai since we last saw them, with Elayne making 3 Angreal. They don't work quite as well as the original, and that will probably matter later on. Swan is using the original Dreaming Angreal herself. Tower 2 seems to be procrastinating on choosing an Amerlin. It seems more of a stall tactic at this point than anything.
What do they think they're going to stall to have happen?
They just don't want to do the inevitable awful, which is a true break with the tower, right?
I suppose
that's a really big deal, and the most important people have in this place have the most to lose, right? So from doing this, so they're avoiding it subconsciously more than likely. The two women enter the world of dreams, where they are joined by Swan and Lyanna, and then 6 Aes Sedai, led by Sheriam, who seems to be in a debate about a selection they have made. So these 6 Aes Sedai are Sheriam, Morven, Carlinia, Mirel, Anaya, and Baonin.
I like that name, Carlinia. Yep. It's a fun name.
Well, you should name one of your kids Carlinia.
Well, I'm not having any more children, so that's
too late.
You know.
Apparently, these 6 Aes Sedai have been meeting the Wise Ones, and that hasn't gone well. They then travel to Elida's study, which has seen the mending of the painting of Rand in the new style.
The new style.
Right.
Which is what?
Impressionism.
It is kind of, right?
It's pointillism. It's just a bunch of dots that look very accurately like Rand.
Each other?
No, that's not the new style. It's not Mapplethorpe.
That's not the new style that he's right. Not kissing.
The new style is black and white photography with both men totally naked.
Even though there were no men in this scenario.
No, there are two men. It
is two men. It's Rand and
you're talking about the painting.
Yes. Not
Balsamon. I thought you were talking about the Dreamers.
No, not Balsamon.
The Dreamers.
All the chairs have disappeared from in front of Lyda's desk. So
I like how that is just kind of elegantly passed over. It's like, we remember them being, there were more chairs here, and then there are less.
Well, yeah. I mean,
so that just means she's just like, I don't like you.
Yeah.
I don't like you.
Does that surprise anybody? That's what she does.
How many are left, though?
She's a tyrant. Well, apparently none. She has no audiences with anybody.
None.
There's no chairs there.
None.
There are no chairs.
None. Zero. Zilch. Zippo.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I
thought there were like 3. Okay.
She's done with everybody else's counsel. Like, she's literally gotten to the point where she's turned into a despot, and she's just like, yep, your opinions don't matter. I'm the ruler.
Well, either that or those people decided they'd had enough of her.
Or either that or she sent them all off.
Oh, you think so? Well, good for them.
Because she did that to the one sister where she sent that sister off to the farm. So maybe she's done that with the rest.
Right, yeah, she's murdered all of them. Actually, I don't think they have a choice to not go and see her.
No, not with her.
She's the one who's in control. So she has eliminated all of them except Alviarin, the honey-colored hair,
the white,
who we know is a dark friend.
The evil white.
Great job, Elayne.
She's the White Witch.
So during a lecture on a proper discipline in Tel'aran'rhiod, Nynaeve mentions the Aes Sedai debating whether Black Aja were letting Shadowspawn into the tower, which we know from the previous chapter has already happened.
Yeah.
The group then transports themselves to Elyda's study in the White Tower, which they refuse to refer to as the Amerlin's chamber.
And good for them.
Even though they don't have an Amerlin themselves.
Well, and no Amerlin's better than this one. Apparently.
That kind of is true.
It is true. I mean, she's horrible.
It appears that Elyda has actually had that painting of Rand mended. Lyanna leaves to hear from her eyes and ears.
Who did that?
Maybe it's just mended.
These are the things I want to know. I wish there were. I guess there's probably some fanfic about it.
Apparently, it was
the undergrounds. The undergrounds of the tower. That go and fix paintings.
That's not the underground. I mean, she either fixed it herself or she brought somebody in.
Can you imagine? She didn't know, and someone just did it on the sly, and she comes in one
somebody
day.
Snuck into her room and fixed it because they really like the new style.
Right.
And they're like, this is the only painting we have in the new style in Tarvalon. We're going to fix this one. I'm going to sneak in during off hours.
Well, Wow. Maybe.
They had a happy hour. Elyda was a little drunk and she left the door open. And this woman snuck in and fixed the painting.
I like Dave's reasoning.
Realize that's just her study. It's not where she's sleeping.
Right.
So maybe someone's trying to get her goat.
She
comes in one day and she's like,
documents in there though.
What the what?
Discover.
Yeah.
Well, it could also happen within the dream world as well. So,
well, that's what I was just about to say. But I think the dream world is always a reflection of the real world.
Yes,
so.
you can't. Yeah, you can't permanently change anything.
Yeah, you can't change anything in the dream world that's not going to be reflected in the real world.
Till now, I'm saying I'm waiting with arms wide open. With arms wide open.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Lyanna leaves to hear from her eyes and ears, and Sheriam sends Nynaeve after her. And then Elyda suddenly appears, stating to someone unseen that she alone will be the one to make the White Tower whole.
Yeah, no, that was an interesting point because she said it was a foretelling that she had, which is obviously a big deal.
Well, we know that she's had the foretelling that Andor will be very important in Tarmon-Gai'don.
Right, but this is a whole new foretelling she's talking about that we haven't heard of before. So my question is that she just saying this in the dream, or is it an actual foretelling that she had that we don't know about? And
where are you getting foretelling here? Because all she says is that she alone will be the one to make the tower whole.
The literal quote is, quote, "As I have foretold, the White Tower will be reunited under me, end quote."
That's great.
She's had a foretelling. The question is she saying that in a dream, or has she really had one? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
But if she foretold it and it was an actual foretelling, that means it's going to happen.
Right. Yes.
Which is kind of a big deal.
But we have never witnessed this foretelling in any way, shape, or
other
form.
than this.
So whether or not, it could very well just be a lie.
Also, have we ever witnessed a foretelling with her before that has come true?
The other foretelling that we know of that she has had is the fact that Andor will be significant to surviving Tarmangaiden. That's the only other one that we're
Well, that makes sense. With
aware of.
Isn't Elayne involved with that?
I mean, not necessarily. It's literally just that Camelin and the Queen of Andor will be important. It isn't tied to any one specific house, though Elaida has extrapolated from that House Trakand is important, but that's just her own interpretation. The women then head to Elaida's desk, even though apparently Swan has realized that Alviarin seems to have more information about what's going on inside and outside the tower than Elaida does. Swan has even found evidence from Alviarin's countermanding Elaida's orders. So Elaida's...
It's great. She's getting... Well, I mean, that's
it's
not necessarily...
No.
It's not necessarily pride. I think it's great because I hate Elaida, but
Right.
it's obviously not great for the world.
Right.
Well, maybe, who knows? Because who knows what those orders are with Elaida. They could be equally as bad as what Alviarin is doing. I mean...
Right.
Elaida may not be a dark friend that we particularly know of, but she's certainly not a good person.
No. She's incredibly conceited and self-interested, and no, it's not good that she's in that. The two people that have the most powerful position in this political organization
are horrible.
Yeah. It's going to be a big problem.
There's going to be a kerfluffle.
Elaida seems to be in communication with Matan Stepaneos, the king of Ilion, and Rodarin, the king of Murundi, and Alejandra and Tylin, the queens of Gilda and Altara, about something she wants their compliance on. There is still an arrest warrant for the deceased Moiraine. Oh, and the palace for Elaida is moving forward.
That's sad.
The accepted Shamaran, who is the
sister
sent over. Made and accepted, has run away. The odd fighting between Shinar and Arafel is dying down. The eyes and ears in Tarabon are silent, and there's a rumor that the Aes Sedai are involved in the fighting there. There are rumors all over of strange occurrences. Two-headed calves, nightmares walking.
Talking. No, two-headed calves that are talking.
Right,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So these...
They're like...
do we think it's just bubbles of evil stuff?
That and Rand being places and causing Ta'Veren strange things to occur. I mean, I think it's probably a combination
it wouldn't
of both.
only be Rand, though. You got Rand, Matt, and Perrin.
Yeah, but we don't have tales of the other two men being places.
Sure, but
and
this
strange
is just
stuff
gossip,
happening.
and I think it's just displayed as the fact that there's a lot of gossip that's happening in these chapters. And I think that gossip is happening elsewhere too.
I think these two things are here, though, to demonstrate that what's happening with the gossip is it might be overinflating some of these stories, but there's still strange things happening, and she's ignoring them because she finds these things to be fantastic. So, rumors of Queen Morgase raising an army under the banner of Manetheren and fleeing to all sorts of lands, including Amadicia, which we know is actually true. Elayne, however, dismisses that as absurd. Elayne must be returned to the tower at all costs, as the ruling house of Andor is the key, which this, once again, ties into Elaida's foretelling.
Yeah, her prophecy.
There's a brief mention of Rhonda Makura's punishment for failing to secure Elayne. Remember that episode?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that poor woman was made an example of.
Was that the fork root? The fork root, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The report of Rand's amnesty is also in poor condition, along with that painting of Rand. There are 294 Aes Sedai in the tower, nearly as many in Saladar, accounting for nearly 2/3 of all Aes Sedai. So there's somewhere around 900 Aes Sedai in this world.
Okay.
Elaida sent an emissary to Rand, but they are headed to Cairhien.
Well,
so that means that the Saladar embassy is going to reach him first.
The Saladar embassy.
It seems Elaida means to offer Rand support and an escort to the tower. The Aes Sedai suggest warning Egwene of the arrival of Aes Sedai in Cairhien, but no suggestions to warn Rand are made. This causes Elayne to lose her control and confront the Aes Sedai for their lack of consideration for Rand. Sheriam asks Elayne exactly how she suggests they notify Rand, and a scream is heard from the other room. They run into the hallway to discover a Trolloc nightmare affixed to the hallway, and Carlinia is caught in it. The other 5 Aes Sedai quickly follow, and Elayne realizes the only way to break up the nightmare is to think back to the hallway from inside of it. She and Swan bravely enter the nightmare. Before Elayne can have her ear sliced off by a Trolloc, the thing is gone. The 6 Aes Sedai depart for their beds in Saladar. Elayne is ordered with them. She instead quickly travels to Andor, where she discovers the dragon throne in front of the lion throne. The sight of the 2 thrones causes Elayne to fear Rand is making a mistake and will make more without her counsel. Elayne has a fleeting pang of jealousy at the impending approach to Rand of Min before returning to her bed so that she isn't missed. After Elayne departs, Demandred appears behind a column and muses on what Elaine's nonverbals have meant. Demandred also thinks that Elayne is coming after Rand to hurt instead of help him.
Apparently, he doesn't know much about Elayne and Rand. Maybe
No,
I don't know.
It doesn't seem that way. He grossly misinterprets just about everything he sees there.
Right? Yeah.
It seems the ter'angreal Land has created are considered minor ter'angreal, and
Ter'angreal who created?
Elayne.
Oh, okay.
Demandred thinks that they're minor ter'angreal and were used for training in the Age of Legends. Which takes us to Chapter 8, The Storm Gathers.
Yep.
The weather is a frightening there.
Yes, and Nynaeve, the Windfinder, wakes, and her senses are still telling her that there is a storm coming. It's extremely hot without any chance of rain. The night before, during her search for Lyanna in Tel'aran'rhiod, she had noticed rats and heaps of garbage in the tower. Another physical manifestation of how Elyda's leadership is eroding the tower, or that the tower has been eroding. So this is a good question I thought we would address here because it does seem like things have really gone downhill since Elyda took over. However, the Black Aja has been there for some time.
Yep.
And Swan Sanche was also operating very strong-handedly and doing a lot of things without any consideration of her counsel whatsoever. Her only counsel seemed to be her best friend, Moiraine. We agree with the decisions for the most part that they were making, but, I mean, if you were part of any political organization that was operating this way, you'd be like, this person is out of control.
I'm going to disagree with you there. I think the only thing that she was doing that with was in regards to Rand. I think the rest of the way
the most important thing, I would agree.
Yes and no. Because if you, I mean, okay, Mr. Snarky Pants.
No, I wasn't being snarky. I'm serious. You're right. I don't think there were a lot of other things. But
I literally don't think there was anything. Rand is a big deal. From what we've gathered, she was doing the right thing. But the other thing is, you weren't seeing this happening in the tower when she was in there. The tower wasn't falling apart. The tower wasn't at odds. The tower was just doing what it did, and it ran smoothly because she was running the rest of the stuff like you're supposed to run it. Elyda is so infatuated with her own building of her own separate edifice, a.k.a. her own tower to herself. This tower is falling apart. Now, I suppose you could argue that maybe it's Shaitan, touching the world more as we get on, so you're seeing the manifestation of these things happening in the tower, but it shouldn't be happening in the tower as much it is because Elyda's not paying attention to things. She's not paying attention to things that matter, and she's paying attention, it seems like, to the things that don't matter, to the detriment of the tower, and probably, as goes the tower, goes the rest of the world. So it's a bit more than a bit concerning.
We had this discussion before about the fact that would be the same way for Swan as well, because she was so focused on Rand that she did not see the just Black Aja that were just taking over.
That's my whole point. The rest of the tower was not falling into disarray while Swan was running things. I think the Black Sisters, I don't think we saw an increase of them at all. They were always there. They were always there doing their thing.
Right.
I don't think they become more of a I don't think the Black has become more of a presence under Elyda's watch, except for the fact that Alviarin is there.
That's what we're saying, is that they were there when Swan was there.
My feelings on what Adam was saying was that he was saying that Swan is to blame because she didn't see the Black Sisters there. They've always been there. So,
which is
crazy,
saying, though.
It is crazy, but that's how evil works.
Keep in mind also that Swan really didn't lead under the same circumstances that Elayne is leading under. Rand's progression has accelerated this world toward its end, and so, like you were saying, along with that comes Sheatan's greater influence over the world also, and so that's going to accelerate or exacerbate any problems that exist.
Yeah,
Nynaeve stayed in the dream world longer than any of the other Aes Sedai or Elayne. Nynaeve and Elayne converse about the events from the night before back in their room in Saladar. Nynaeve mentions she thinks she saw Rand in the square in front of the tower.
Yeah, that's crazy.
She saw him in front of the tower in the dream world.
Yeah.
We've seen somebody else in the dream world that looked like Rand. Perrin mistook somebody in the dream world for Rand before.
Yes, and we still don't know who that is.
No. We do know who that is because Rand fought him.
Yes.
That was Slayer.
Oh, Rand didn't fight Slayer.
It's the mysterious Slayer.
Perrin fought Slayer.
Yeah, Perrin fought Slayer, yes.
Yes. And he looked like Rand. He was running around in there and looked like Rand.
Yeah, he did look like Rand, yes.
We figured it out because he's Rand's brother. He's Lan's brother. We connected all of the dots.
Yes.
We've drawn
from the prophecy.
We've drawn that conclusion before.
Rand's mother's brother went into the waste.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Let's go on up the Dragonmount.
From Elayne, we get a sense of how strong Rand is warding his dreams now.
Which is interesting because didn't someone else say somewhere else in one of the chapters we read, unless he's figured out how to ward his dreams, which, they didn't think he'd known how to do, and he has.
Yep. He clearly has. I mean, to the point where a very strong natural dreamwalker can't even penetrate them in Elayne.
He can do that, and the girls can't figure out how not to sweat.
They can't get in.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Well,
but Rand can.
Right. Rand's figured that one out too. She doesn't think he could dream around Tel'aran'rhiod if he were a dreamwalker with a dreaming ring.
And then Freddy Krueger comes in because of the dream.
The two women fret over thoughts of their men a moment before moving on to discuss events from the night before. Before she's finished with the story, Elayne is dressed and headed out the door to teach the novices, something Nynaeve has not been allowed to do.
Because of her block.
Right. Nynaeve goes to...
Do you think she likes that, or does she? Do we think she wants
attitude as well?
Well, yeah. But I mean,
do
you think she would want to teach?
On board with her block.
I think she would want the importance of being a teacher. I don't think that she would want to teach.
She probably wouldn't actually.
She was a teacher, though, wasn't she? Like, essentially from the Two Rivers.
Maybe she was
the only person she taught was Egwene. That was the only person we ever got any instance of her actually mentoring.
I don't know all the duties, roles, and responsibilities of a wisdom atom, so I'm not sure.
Nynaeve goes to find Moghedien.
I think there would be like, hey, you cut your finger. Here's a way to wrap it up with some bark.
Maybe.
And some dirt.
I'm sure it's something as basic as mending a finger.
And a bay leaf.
She had informed other people how to take care of on their own. Yes.
Maybe they used a fig at him.
I don't know that requires somebody with natural teaching skills.
To actually talk about. I'm sorry. Eric.
I think we need to keep climbing Dragonmount here.
You're trying to get through the Dragonmount. Yeah, here we go.
Nynaeve goes to find Moghedien. She told Nildra that Merrigan, a.k.a. Moghedien, was given her by Myrell and can't be spared. Myrell is the Aes Sedai that Moiraine has passed the land off to. Nynaeve wanders about the town, which has grown overcrowded. Nynaeve sees Myrell headed in her direction and ducks into one of Saladar's old inns. Inside, she finds Logain telling a story to Altaran nobles about how his declaration as Dragon Reborn was part of a Red Aja plot.
Furthering the lie.
Yep.
But hey,
we know this is a lie.
Yep.
Apparently, Altaran and even a few Mirandian nobles have been visiting to hear this tale for weeks. Elayne notices Nynaeve and she excuses herself back into the street. Nynaeve witnesses Gareth Bryn and Swan arguing over compliments and information in the middle of the street.
Business as usual between those two.
Yep. After Bryn leaves, Nynaeve approaches Swan and demands she allow herself to be examined by Nynaeve to determine if her stilling can be healed. Swan says she'll accommodate Nynaeve in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Lyanna,
I'll do it later.
Accommodate.
Yeah.
Lyanna appears and tells Swan that her suggestions that she travel to the world of dreams with the Aes Sedai the preceding night has been rejected.
Who do you think is grumpier, Swan or Nynaeve?
I think
Good
Swan's doing a
question.
good job.
Or it's not even
dealing
grumpier,
with
it's
what she
more stubborn.
Swan has been stilled.
The two stalk
Yeah.
off
So
in separate directions.
She's doing a great job, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's hanging in there.
Anytime
Oh,
they
yeah.
are definitely competing with each other on the grumpiness scale
Right,
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Lelaine Akashi suddenly appears and after remarking on Swan and Lyanna's behavior asks Nynaeve why she has entered the Old Inn. She follows up this question with another regarding how Rand will behave. Nynaeve asks what Tower 2 intends to do about Rand.
Ugh.
Elayne asks if Nynaeve knows where Egwene is. There's some narration about the difficulty of the presence of stilled women amongst those who can channel. No woman has been stilled in 140 years or burned out in a dozen.
Oh, I thought it was 200. It's 140? Okay, that's
140.
crazy. Okay.
Yeah. It's been some time since a woman has been stilled, and certainly even longer since that woman was the Amerlin seat.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Lelaine leaves after she suggests Nynaeve cut her hair as a way to rid her of the habit of tugging at it all the time in anger.
Maybe you just lop that off. You know.
She'd just be tugging at her earlobes if she cut it off.
Right, yeah. She'd supplant it with something else.
Yes. But maybe something not quite so obvious.
Didn't another one of the characters lewdly tug his earlobe when he was staring at the women? Like,
oh
who was
yes,
that?
Lord Luke.
What,
Isn't that Lord Luke?
It might be Lord Luke. Yeah.
Eric remembers.
AKA Slayer.
AKA Slayer. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Lord Luke.
Yeah.
After Lelaine rushes off, Nynaeve wanders in anger at the protracted delays of Saladar. She sees Uno, who has become an official in Garth Bryn's army now. Nynaeve wishes Tom and Julian were near instead of months gone spying on conditions in Amadicia.
I've completely forgotten about where those guys were.
Well, yeah, they're way off in Amadicia.
I mean, I've forgotten a lot of places people are.
They're going to run into Morghese Tricond pretty soon.
Yeah. Seriously. That's where she is.
They've been joined by Aes Sedai and warders who are scouting Tarabon. Nynaeve alights upon Elaine's novice class and ponders how Tower 2's Aes Sedai have expanded what they deem an acceptable age for a novice,
We're going to start calling it T2.
resulting
Yeah,
in
what is it?
more novices in Tower 2 than had been there in the tower for years.
Oh, 200.
Right, there you go.
Theodrin appears and tells Nynaeve the
120,
story of how
yeah.
her block to Saidin was broken,
Yeah, that was an interesting little bawdy tale.
and that she will work with Nynaeve tomorrow and each day after until Nynaeve's block is broken. So that block in Nynaeve is going to be broken just any day now.
If you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you.
Nynaeve turns to return home, and before she gets halfway there, she's knocked flat by a running Dagdara Finchi. She returns to her room and is surprised by the entry of Moghedien, who complains of her condition. Nynaeve asks Moghedien to teach her how to detect a man channeling, which they've been working on now for some time. And then Elayne flies into the room, declaring a tower emissary, Tarna Fair, has arrived. Elayne is concerned that Tower 2 will want to make the tower whole again if the offer to the emissary is sweet enough. And the storm Nynaeve senses keeps on coming.
Keeps on a coming, that storm.
Keeps on rolling on.
Which takes us to Chapter 9, Plans. So we move to Pedron Niall's throne room, where he's berating Omerna for bringing illuminators to Amador. Niall answers the question Elida had in her notes regarding the retreating of the children's army to Tarabon. It seems he is quarantining the people of Tarabon, so he's got all of his children lined up on the border between Amadicia and Tarabon to keep the Taraboners in. Omerna is a minor member of the Council of Nine in Ilion and the Children's Spy Master. So here's another tie between Amadicia and Ilion. Omerna thinks allowing the Illuminators into Amadicia will allow them to infiltrate the organization. Niall thinks the Illuminators are like everything else Tarabon, or agents of chaos. Omerna mentions that Cairhien and probably Tanchico chapter houses of the Illuminators have closed, Niall insists the Illuminators are sent packing and asks for
Matt
other
burned
information.
them down.
Well, one of them.
Right.
Yeah. The other one, they just shut up, and now they're just wandering around without a chapter house.
Just never good. People just wander around with lots of fireworks.
Right. Omerna states that the dragons sworn in Altara are real, and there will be more in Murundi.
Well, we know one of them actually is with, what's-his-face in his traveling menagerie, Valen Luca.
Okay, yes, thank you.
So he's with them.
He goes on to state that Matin Stepaneos is eager to join Niall, but is hesitant to make it public.
Well, you're now going to lie yourself with the white cloaks. That's
Doesn't want it to
Well,
be
but
known.
but we've had 2 mentions of him now over there in Ilion, promising both of these people, both Elayne and Pedro Niall. No, I'm really into you guys. I just need some time.
just give me a moment.
Right, yeah. We get some recollection from Niall that he thinks he was on the verge of defeating Stepaneos during the Troubles. So if you remember, we've had a couple of mentions of these wars between Ilion and
when did those take place? This is what I'm wondering about.
I don't
the
know.
Troubles, because it makes me think about Ireland and what I don't know about it.
Ireland.
Because there are the Troubles over there, but what are these Troubles?
so
that
that's
we're talking about?
those are wars between Murundi and Gildan. And
Is that the first time we've heard about
That's the
the
first time
Troubles?
I've heard about it. I
No,
don't
it's
remember.
not. But I think it's
Oh.
it's only mentioned in brief passing, and honestly, I think the last time it was mentioned was like Eye of the World. So it's basically a border war.
Okay.
So
All right.
Pedro Niall was involved in it because he's over there in Amadisha, and he had to confront Stepaneos during these. I think the Troubles are like 20 years back. Omerna continues to state a bunch of information Niall simply ignores. Niall finds Omerna incredible, and for the most part he is, but unfortunately mixed in with all of Omerna's naivete are true facts that Niall is missing. The bubbles of evil and some of the things going on around Rand's madness. On the whole, Niall regards Omerna as a fool, and he appears to be, laying out vast sums for several horns of Valir and then running off into the country and trying to blow them.
That's about right. I mean,
this guy is a nut.
he's a handful.
Before leaving, Omerna recalls a pigeon message for Niall's eyes only. Niall has to dismiss the man a second time and ask him to tell Balwer to enter. While waiting for Balwer's appearance, Niall goes to a folder that contains a street painting of Rand's battle in the sky.
It's the thing he
with
looks
the
at often.
Shamael. Yeah. He seems to be moving away from his strategy of gathering the nations against Rand to defeat Rand toward an idea of just having Rand assassinated. And then Balwer comes in and covers some of what we already know. Davram Bashir is in Camelin. His wife has retreated to the interior of her nation, avoiding Niall's embassy. Balwer clarifies some of Omerna's news as well. The Borderlands are not rebelling, but clashing over whether or not Rand is the Dragon Reborn. So that also clarifies some of Elayne's news as well, because she knew that there were fights in the Borderlands, but she didn't know why. Niall takes the fact that these clashes started about the same time that Rand took the stone as evidence of Aes Sedai involvement in Rand's ascension. The Dragon Sworn.
Too bad.
The Dragon Sworn are looting and consolidating their holds in northern Amadisha. The rulers of Murundi, Altara, and Gildan are stalling, uncertain of who to back. And this is similar to what Elayne is experiencing. Rumor leans Niall to believe that Caridin is having slow success in Altara and Murundi. Niall considers introducing the Dragon Sworn into Andor or Ilion to encourage Stepaneos. Niall is afraid the army Rand has amassed in Tyr will cause people to rally to his banner rather than flee from it, as Niall is hoping for, right, with his whole plan. He thinks that even if Saldea is lost to him, he has a chance with the rest of the Borderlands. It seems to be Balwer's agents who have convinced Tadosian and Astanda to join Darlin in rebellion against Rand. So we were wondering how that rebellion came up so swiftly, and apparently there's a little bit of influence here from the Children of the Light. Balwer thinks he can do the same in Kyrian and Andor. So this man is sowing seeds of dissent in all of these different nations.
Yeah.
Eamon Valda would be returning with his army in a month or two.
You haven't heard anything from that guy in a while.
And finally, Niall looks at the pigeon note. It's from Veridin, a rug merchant Niall used as a spy and had to set up in Tanchico. Niall has not heard from the man in a year. And Veridin writes a broken and scared note of events that he witnessed with the arrival of the Seanchan and the battle that drove them off, which Niall discards as incredulous.
Why anyone would discard anything in this world at this point would be beyond me.
Because Niall does not believe in anything supernatural.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a huge blind spot.
You would think he would, though, with things that he's seen.
Right. I mean, Rand was in the air fighting the Dragon Reborn. Well, he still seems to think that, I don't really honestly know what he thinks about anything. The guy's so duplicitous. It's hard to know what's going on with that guy.
Balwer moves on with what he's learned. The Ogier have been communicating with each other. There's a strange number of sea folk ships in the south not collecting cargo. Balwer lets Niall know that Rand has appeared in multiple distant locations on the same day, and Niall disregards this also as ridiculous. Finally, Balwer tells Niall of the use Tower 2 is making of Loghain in presentation to nobles. Upon hearing the news of Loghain, Niall considers whether he's been in the wrong about the tower not being split. He invents a new narrative to accommodate his actions and declares to Balwer that the Black Aja has risen and taken over the tower, causing those that did not support them to flee. He thinks that the Black Aja in control of the tower will eventually lead to the people of the continent losing faith in that institution. So he just whips up this bold-faced lie out of nowhere, and now he's going to go have this spread out there amongst everyone.
He's perpetuating a new plot now.
Yeah, in order to undermine the tower.
He's nothing if not
It's
tenacious.
probably a pretty good time to do it, though.
Yeah.
Tower doesn't seem strong.
It's just another lie fabricated by a man who's supposed to be head of a righteous organization.
Lies on top of lies.
In the end, Niall and Balwer decide to spread 4 rumors. First, that the division of the tower is caused by the Black Aja. Second, the Black Aja won and controlled the tower. Third, the Aes Sedai and Saladar are renouncing being Aes Sedai. And then lastly, Tower 2 has approached Niall for protection.
Yep.
Because they've renounced that they're Aes Sedai, so now they can go to the Children of the Light for protection.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, this is.
He's just
spinning
yarns,
it seems
man.
to in the gossip of the town, it seems to actually has
taken hold,
played itself out.
Yep, it's going to take hold. It'll be interesting to see who chooses to believe that, because those last 2 are a very far stretch. Aes Sedai just denouncing being Aes Sedai.
Yeah,
you only get the information you're fed.
Niall requests Balwer find Elayne and Gawain and bring them to Amador. Before leaving, Balwer suggests that Niall press Morghese to accept Niall's offer. It's been a month since Niall proffered the offer of support to Morghese. Niall suggests that time will eventually entangle Morghese in an alliance because of her perception, and he doesn't really need to rush that because she's there in Amador anyway, so people will eventually just start to connect dots that may or may not be true. While Pedron Niall's logic allows him to deduce some actions, it also really blinds him to many of the other supernatural events that are occurring, as we've already discussed. The scene shifts to Morghese, who's hawking in the Amadician countryside, guarded by white cloaks. The night before, Niall revealed to Morghese that Galad had become a child of the light. She discusses this with some of her retinue. Morghese tries to protect Galad from Niall's schemes by pretending she cares less for him as a son of a forced marriage of state.
You think that's what's happening?
That's what she says she's going to do.
Yeah, she says literally.
Yeah.
There's no interpretation there. She just flat out says that's what she wants to have happen.
Yeah, I thought it was very weird. I didn't like it.
She's not saying that to Galad. Right, she's just saying that.
No, I know, but she's using it as a weapon, like talking her
I don't think she's using it as a weapon.
Not Bloodchild.
Well, she's weaponizing.
She is.
She's weaponizing the relationship, a marriage of state. Yes.
Right, and trying
she's
to
just misdirecting.
But she's trying to protect her son.
Yeah, she's
trying
misdirection.
to keep him safe, yeah.
After bandying words with some minor nobles, she's trying to draw to herself. Morghese is challenged by Miranda. She suggests Rand is trying to sit upon the lion throne, and he's giving high places to men who can channel. Miranda goes on to suggest that some of her noble supporters are going over to Rand. In a show of frustration, Morghese calls the day to an end, but it is a ruse. She's happy to know that the people Miranda names are not those who supported her ascension to the throne. So the people that are supporting Rand were always against Morghese, it seems. While traveling back to Amador, Morghese spots some of the refugees and learns from Norwyn that they are a result of the dragon. Morghese is worried that this same upheaval is happening in Andor.
I think they're a result of the dragon sworn.
Well, right, who are a result of the dragon.
Yeah, but the dragon sworn are because of Massima. That's what the dragon sworn are. They're a different party than Rand.
Rand's not asking them to do the things that they're doing, but they are doing them in Rand's name, even though they're doing it at the direction of Massima.
Of a crazy man, yeah.
Morghese is worried that this same upheaval is happening in Andor, though, and how she will fight Rand, how she might have to fight Rand to fix it. She still worries she'll have to accept Niall's offer to see this through. Niall prides himself on patience and playing a long game. It seems that Morghese is actually trying to do the same thing.
I'm sensing a theme here.
That takes us to Chapter 10, a saying in the Borderlands. The saying being, duty is heavier than a mountain, death lighter than a feather.
Oh, that's been around.
It opens up in the royal palace in Camelin. Rand and his honor guard are walking the halls of the palace. Rand allows himself time to consider the condition of the palace and its newly acquired servants. The servants are mixed in with the pensioners who have come out of retirement because there just aren't enough people to take care of the palace right now. Rand considers palace livery for the new servants to get them out of their feast day clothes they're currently wearing and in bringing on some more servants to allow the pensioners to return to their retirement. This is further evidence of Rand's humanity. Even though we talk about how prideful Rand is becoming, he still has an eye for the more common people and a care for them and their well-being.
It's really sweet.
I agree.
He's compassionate.
No, it's really nice to see, especially when we're questioning Rand's sanity, that you can actually see that he's caring about the people, which he has done the entire time that we've known him.
He's always looked out for the little man.
Though it's extremely hot, as Adam mentioned, Rand no longer sweats due to the trick that he's learned from Mazrim Taim. So Rand has
apparently nothing to do with the power.
Has nothing to do with the power. But Elayne and Nynaeve
Do you
can't
think
figure
that's
it out.
what it's like, though? That it has nothing to do with the power, and that like Elayne and Nynaeve
it's related.
have to learn that?
It's related to the level of focus you have to use the power, but it is not of the power itself.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. I didn't know if it was different for a man.
It doesn't seem to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rumors of fighting in the Borderlands has now reached Camelin, and Rand wonders at the calm of Davram Bashir in the case of receiving that news. Rand has chosen to abandon his own homeland in order to protect it, but Davram Bashir hasn't abandoned his. At the event of a servant dropping a vase that doesn't break, Rand, Bale, and Davram discuss the strange occurrence that Rand's presence has caused. Children surviving great falls, grandmothers surviving horse tramplings, streaks of men accidentally hanging themselves. Rand causes a lot of crazy
goose skipping
stuff.
down the street.
So this crazy stuff is happening all over the world, and it's getting reported to people, and they're simply not believing it.
Yeah.
Don't you believe him?
While listening to rumors of people treating his reputation, Land considers how important it is for him to return Camelin to Elayne.
Lan?
Rand.
Oh,
Rand.
While listening to rumors of people treating his reputation, Rand considers how important it is to him to return Camelin to Elayne in the same condition in which she left it. Rand asks for good news and is informed that Elorian of House Tremaine, Pelavir of House Colian, and Dylin of House Teravan are all near. Rand finds this promising, as these are all supporters of more gays. And Elayne will need those people in order to take the crown herself. Rand requests that Lady
Gaga
Aramilla deliver an invitation to these three written by Davram Bashir.
Gaga.
Oh, it wasn't Lady Gaga? How strange.
It wasn't Gaga.
Bale informs Rand that
That's
two
too
Aes
bad.
Sedai have taken rooms in the new city. There's also a rumor of an Aes Sedai in the city healing cats and dogs. Hey, I think we found where a Marilyn Gamolfin is.
Yeah, that's a bit worrisome, though.
Yeah, she is a very powerful Black Aja.
Yeah.
Why is she healing cats and dogs, though?
She loves them.
Well, she likes cats, not
I
dogs.
know.
Oh, no, she likes cats and other stray animals.
Cats and dogs.
I like dogs and cats. Yeah.
Rand sees Avienda in the palace gardens and decides to leave the palace in favor of pursuing these two Aes Sedai. So once again, Rand sees Avienda and heads in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I mean, what's going on with this? Like,
it's really
ever
embarrassing.
since they hooked up, like
Rand is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rand is making me uncomfortable. I mean,
It's dumb.
Just
because
deal with
he
your
should
stuff.
Celebrate what they had together
Right.
and
Right. Like, if there's
explore
any one of
the
those two that should be
situation.
awkward for, it should be Avienda because of her near sister. But she's the one that seems to be handling it just fine. And Rand's like,
And then he
well, we have
looks
no
at her
idea
and
how
he's
she's
like-
handling it because
he's
every
like,
time they
"She's
get
so
close, he walks
pretty."
away.
right, don't get so close to me.
There's yes. Bale leads Rand to Coplein's Hound, the inn where the two Aes Sedai are staying. And upon entering the inn, Rand discovers a bunch of girls from the Two Rivers who are now novices and on their way to Tarvalon.
It's so sweet. And then it's not.
It's a reunion.
The group has been gathered and led by Alanna and Varen. These two have been leading this group for a while away from the Two Rivers since we saw the Battle of the Two Rivers. Rand has not seen Varen since that time. Oh, no, Rand hasn't seen Varen since the battle at Falma.
Yeah,
After-
it's been a long time.
After mentioning
That
the
was
tower,
a while ago.
yeah. After mentioning the tower
But
schism,
not really.
Varen suggests that they talk privately. And during the conversation, Rand thinks on the fact that he's been told Elayne is with the rebels. This would indicate that either he has not been in communication with Elayne, or she has not told him where she is.
I think they've.
But
sent
that's
some
weird because
letters
we've been
back and
assuming up
forth.
to this point that he's been counting on having the support of Tower 2 because Elayne has been in conversation with him. It doesn't seem like she has. So where's he been getting this information from?
Maybe Nynaeve? Who knows?
Maybe, but Nynaeve can't dream, really dream walk and
Well, neither can
convey
Elayne much.
information.
The only one's Egwene. It's got to be Egwene.
Aren't they only
Yeah,
sending?
Because
Yeah.
letters
Egwene's
back
getting
and forth?
information from Elayne and Nynaeve, so maybe Egwene's relaying it to Rand through the Aiel. Maybe
You think
Elayne-
so?
It's got to be, the train's got to go like this. It's got to go from Elayne and Nynaeve to Egwene to the Wise Ones to Rand.
Or just
I figured.
or
it was
just
just
Egwene
pigeons.
to Rand. Egwene can communicate
yeah.
in his dreams too. Well, except unless they're warded, which they have been.
Which they
So
have
maybe
been, so
she
it's-
can't communicate with him that way.
So it's probably just through the Wise Ones. Telling the clan chiefs. The Wise Ones tell the
Interesting.
clan chiefs, and clan chiefs tell
Yeah,
Rand.
yeah.
My guess, anyhow.
Alana mentions that
Okay.
Rand looks tired and moves toward him. Rand steps back, so Alana promises that she will not hurt him. She rests her hand on him and bonds him as a warder.
No big deal. Shizzle.
Rand tells the two that they are to remain in Camelin and not enter the inner city where he resides because he's furious with Alana. Rand slams open the door and is addressed
Kinda.
by a few of the Two Rivers girls who don't believe that he is the dragon reborn as they've been told. And the chapter concludes with Rand using the power to lift Boda and Larina off their feet, demonstrating who he is, and shouts at them, "Do you understand now?"
Do you get it?
Yeah. I
Do
don't know,
you
quite
get
shouted like that,
who
but yeah.
I am now.
It was probably more like what Adam just did.
This terrifies most of the common folk in the room, and after letting the girls down, Rand exits, determined to leave Emmons Field behind him. Begin Chapter 11, Lessons and Teachers.
Interesting.
So in the common room of Coplein's Hound, Varen goes about calming
Kool-Aid's
everyone in
Hound.
the
Kool-Aid's.
common room after the scare Rand has given them all. When the novices start to make suggestions as to what to do next, Elayne weaves an illusion that causes her to appear as tall as the room and commands all the girls to go to their rooms.
Love it. I love it.
Little over the top, maybe? Elayne's
that's
slightly unhinged.
Pretty literal.
Well, yeah.
Eric. It was a little over the top. She went up to I'm imagining it's a 15-foot roof.
There? At least, probably
15
more.
15 feet, 20 feet?
Yeah, no, because it probably...
And she's making the illusion that she can go up there?
Yeah.
It's great. Those poor children are terrified. They knew this. They knew Fred. And then they find out what he is.
Yeah.
And
then they don't believe it.
And then Rand does what he does, and then, the Aes Sedai does what she does. Anyhow, sorry.
Varen requests that Elayne speak to her in the private dining room. The two discuss the probability of a fracture in the tower, which is news to them. As they discuss what to do next, it becomes clear the two are unaware of Saladar. Varen suggests that Rand must have been the reason Swan was deposed, and we also learn that the bonding of Rand was not in Varen's plans. Elayne suggests they should have bonded Mat and Perrin when they had the chance, but blushes at the threat she received from Fael when she suggested the idea.
Yeah, Fael was about ready to throw down.
Amazing.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure it also involved a knife.
Too little, too late.
Yeah, a spinning of knives in the fingers.
The two discuss how easily Rand shielded them before moving on to discuss the possibility of his amnesty. Varen proposes a plan to deal with the men who can channel that Rand is gathering. It seems Varen is determined to gather Rand, but who would bring him to her she has yet to decide. She also seems to have a plan that she intends to keep from Elayne for a while. In the streets of Camelin, Rand rushes headlong toward the palace as he comes to grips with what it means to be bonded by Elayne. Upon reaching the Great Hall, Rand opens a gateway and travels to the farm. Once arrived, he has a laughing fit at how his overconfidence led to his situation. And then Lews Therin creeps in with his regrets of how Sheotan was sealed at the Boar. Rand shouts for the people in his head to leave and senses that Lews Therin is afraid of Elayne. It's been 7 days since...
big deal.
It's been 7 days since he was here at the farm, and as Rand approaches it, he can see the 4 original men and 3 new ones in training.
I feel like 7 days is 3 hours ago in this world for Rand.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot to cover, and so time gets protracted and elapsed, depending on the narrative needs.
It's a wobbly.
Rand approaches as Dahmer Flynn blows up a stone. Rand asks after Henry Haslin, the former master of the sword for the Queen's Guard, who he wanted teaching swordplay to the men, and Taim says he dismissed the man because he couldn't see the use of swords when the men could channel. Rand says he wants his men to be part of the world, not separate from it. It's
good idea.
Darn near a Christianity reference there. And what will they do to defend themselves if they can't channel? Right. Yes. To be able to fight for themselves if they can't channel. Yes, a very good point.
Because it could happen, as we've known from Fork Group. Maybe it works out.
Great idea. Well, Rand has done it himself, although he had a flaming sword.
Rand informs Taim that no one is to venture into Camelin due to the presence of the Aes Sedai. They start to discuss the arrival of the new batch of men to be tested, and Taim asks if Rand will not let him travel to recruit more men. Taim suggests he can use gateways to travel from city to city, and he will have enough to compete with the tower within a year. He goes on to say that picking up everything, he seems to be picking up everything that Rand is teaching him very quickly.
It is nuts.
And then
it's nuts how loosey-goosey
Theron goes into a kill him fit.
I mean,
yeah, but it's nuts how loosey-goosey this is all presented. This guy is presented as not that big of a threat, and my goodness, he sure is.
We all think he's a big
threat. Don't we remember, though?
Rand telling him to keep an eye out on anybody learning too quickly.
Right, yeah. I mean, granted, he's who he is, so he's...
Well, but let's talk about 3 things here. He's learning stuff really quickly. He's somehow managed to maintain the power for a really long time without going crazy, and he's incredibly powerful.
Cause for concern.
Yes, major cause. Yeah. Rand has got to keep a serious tether on this dude.
Well,
I mean,
but he's going to go let him recruit on his own. So that sounds like that's going to go well.
So speaking of keeping a serious tether, right?
The interesting thing is, I think he has to do it. They have to go recruit these people. They've got to do it. But it's like,
all right.
Chapter 12, questions and answers. So meanwhile, back in Saladar, Nynaeve, Elayne, and Moghedien are up early and trying to listen to the treaty going on in the Little Tower, or as we now called it, Tower 2.
T2.
Tower 2.
Tower 1's embassy has recently arrived, and these three figures are trying to use a weave that Moghedien has assured them would go undetected to listen in. It isn't working. It has been a few days since Tarna Fair has arrived with a message from Elaida, and this lot wants to know what the message is, as well as Tower 2's response to it. Elayne has to leave for her daily duties, and Nynaeve is left with Moghedien for the day. When Elayne leaves, Moghedien's disposition mysteriously changes, and she focuses on Nynaeve, suggesting the three leave for Caemlyn and Rand. Nynaeve can't figure out where the woman has gotten her newfound composure from until she realizes that the bracelet has left the room. Nynaeve forces herself to composure.
I'm so sick of this stuff.
What stuff?
You leave with the bracelet from the room? You just walk out with it?
Well, Nynaeve did tell her to. There was a brief conversation over who should have it. Nynaeve doesn't like having it.
Yeah.
Keep it in the room.
Well, I don't think we've ever really witnessed to this point the distance factor of what's going on.
Here's the distance factor. They can't move that far when they have that thing on their neck.
Well, why do you...
Put it...
They who?
Right. Oh.
Put it across the room.
IDOM.
And just keep
they
it there.
Who, not what. They who.
Moghedien. Anyone with a collar on. That's what
if she has it around her neck, she's not going to be able to go across the room to grab it. Or maybe
she can't go across the room to grab it anyway.
Well,
remember what happens if you try to move it?
Right, but you don't want anyone else just wandering in there randomly like, oh, what's this thing? Picking it up, putting it on, and being like,
but
what
maybe
the...
not.
No. Elayne has
Adam's
the bracelet.
Adam's point was, why not just leave the bracelet in the room?
Oh, right. No.
You
can't
do
do
that.
I did say that at first,
person.
but I'm saying maybe 2 rooms over.
Well, you can't leave it anywhere without a person, because once again, someone could find it and put it on.
Elayne taking it prior to this moment is a perfectly good
person.
Solution, and they've just learned, and Nynaeve has just learned now that
what can happen.
Right. Yeah. That the only way to control Moghedien is to have a sense of her emotions, and then you can deal with her. Otherwise, you're in big trouble.
Well, look here's my question about that.
I kind of love her.
Is there a distance factor?
Yeah, I kind of love Moghedien.
Is there a distance factor in terms of Elayne should still be feeling what Moghedien's going through? And so why isn't she just like, swat on your butt?
Because my guess is that Moghedien has a certain understanding of the emotional relay and is probably keeping her emotions fairly calm.
I guess, but why would she?
Because she's a really good manipulator, and because she doesn't want Elayne running back in and and
so somehow she's
swatting
able to
her as you suggested.
To mask that in her head.
She's just controlling her emotions and staying calm is all.
She's recognizing her victim and she's moving and she's pouncing.
Well, for now until it stops working.
Well, we get a really true sense at this point of how powerful and what this woman's power is.
Yeah,
right.
she's just biding her time. She's just waiting. She's lying to everyone about everything.
She's also an incredible manipulator.
Yeah.
She is very good at showing people what she wants them to see.
Yeah, she's speaking her words. It's great. We haven't heard her talk this way.
No, definitely not.
Since she's been free.
Other than I think we did when she was meeting with the other folk.
She did that way in the dream world when she had them trapped in her web, so to speak.
Sure, yeah, when she had her power. But this is coming back, and she doesn't even have her power, and she's using her words to manipulate.
Right.
It's great. I think it's really good writing.
I don't think ultimately that it works, but yes, it works,
I think it
works
will.
I think it works for a moment, but then now the cat's out of the bag.
So Nynaeve forces herself under control and leaves Moghedien to tidying up the room. It's become evident to Nynaeve that they have underestimated how weakened Moghedien has actually become. Nynaeve heads into the town where she sees Gareth Bryn standing outside the little tower's front door. She seems to think his presence there is unwelcome. Nynaeve moves through the crowd, muttering rumors and exclaiming for the tower until she sees Birgitte playing amongst some male children. She requests that Elayne, Birgitte's new sidekick and her old ward, be dismissed, and then asks Birgitte how long it would take her to gather enough horses for their group minus Uno to leave.
Why doesn't she like her?
Elayne?
Yeah.
Oh, she was the one that was partners with Moghedien.
Remember, there are the children and two women that Moghedien snatched up with her when they boarded and Nynaeve brought with her when they boarded the Sea Serpent. This is one of them. But what Nynaeve is more frustrated about is this woman is constantly hanging around Birgitte, and there's a slight jealousy thing going on because all the complaints that Nynaeve has about Elayne are also probably complaints that Elayne would have about Nynaeve. There's a jealousy between these two women over Birgitte.
Which is funny because Nynaeve is still kind of skittish around Birgitte anyhow, so.
Yeah. There's a funny moment where Birgitte suggests that Nynaeve is jealous of Elayne's friendship. Nynaeve goes on to request that Birgitte spy on the meeting in the tower and is turned down flatly by Birgitte. Nicola, one of the other women Nynaeve brought onto the Sea Serpent, then startles the two with her interruption and tells Nynaeve it's time for her to head back to her scribe work with Janya and Delana. Nynaeve leaves to join the two Aes Sedai. When she arrives, the two women don't wish her to scribe at all for them, but start grilling her about Rand. After an exhausting inquisition, Nynaeve is allowed to leave. On her way to her next appointment with Theodrin, she sees the ward over the little tower, and instead of heading straight to Theodrin, Nynaeve tries to see if she can listen in on the meeting in the little tower. Nynaeve hears the inner circle tell Tarna that they need more time. Before leaving her eavesdropping spot, Nynaeve hears Myrelle say, "Perhaps we should just summon her." Nynaeve gets up and steps away from the wall at which she's been listening, and there is Theodrin standing in front of her. Theodrin acts as if she's seen Nynaeve doing nothing wrong, and the two walk to Theodrin's rooms, observed by a third party from above. And that wraps up Chapter 12.
As what they say is that. That was, we have reached the top and planted the pike on Pike's Peak.
That's right.
Yeah.
Reached the top of Dragonmount.
That was something.
Adam, what shook your willow?
So, Elayne is coming up with these ter'angreals, right? How do you call them? Ter'angreals. I think it's a dangerous move. I think she's going to come up with something really powerful that is going to be used by the enemy. Anyone worried about that?
Oh, wow. No. I hadn't really even thought about that. So you think that because she's making ter'angreal, they're going to get... I mean, we know that they're out there looking for them, right? We know that from the prologue.
They could get stolen, sure.
And she's upset with the fact that she hasn't made one that was as strong as her first one. But I think that eventually one is going to get taken by maybe or Moghedien.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
I think Moghedien's able to get to the world of dreams without it.
I don't like. It seems like an absolute amazing superpower. First of all, to be able to create something like that hasn't been done for how long?
Centuries. It sounds like.
Yeah, centuries. And so she's able to do it now. I think one's going to get tossed aside, like it wasn't actually a big deal. It wasn't that strong.
Wow, you're writing a very interesting story there. Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's a possibility. It is really scary that Moghedien is there in their midst and they have these ter'angreal there, but they're aware of it at the same time. So my Willow was the nightmare sequence in Tel'aran'rhiod. I don't think we've had anything up to this point quite as terrifying as that, except for maybe the original appearance of Trollocs.
This is probably the most graphic representation, but there's been other horrible, horrible things that have happened, like Hada and Fane slaughtering all of Perrin's families.
But we haven't seen it, right? There have been references
that's what I'm
to
saying.
it. So this is
the
occurring
first
in real
graphic,
time.
like I said, the first graphic representation of this sort of thing. Because there has been other horrible, horrible things that have happened.
But this is all going on in real time.
Well, the torturing of the Aes Sedai by Cimarag was pretty bad. But this is
yes, that was pretty bad.
But
this is also pretty gruesome. I mean,
you're getting imagination. He's
people
insinuating
screaming,
something. Right.
A woman's head, being immersed in boiling oil. Elayne almost gets her ear cut off.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's incredibly graphic and freaky.
But what I do like, and Adam always compliments Jordan's writing, what I like about here is he's left just enough for us to imagine the worst, with which just giving us enough to go off of.
Well, I think that's also a product of how he's choosing to write this. He's not writing a horror story, so he doesn't.
But the horror comes across, which is great.
Yep.
He is, though.
Yeah.
Right. If it were directed by Peter Jackson, he could still find a way to make this, frightening, or at least bring out the gruesomeness in it. The Trollocs are still gruesome characters for sure.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, and those
they're horrifying.
Some of those Aes Sedai got
horrifying.
Seriously
they're
beat up.
people in pots all the time.
And I wonder how some of them are going to recover from this mentally.
All right, Dave, what shook your Willow?
So actually, my Willow is I loved how easily Rand manhandled both Varen and Alana. How quickly he cut them off from the shield, or how quickly he shielded them, slammed them. Just they were getting ready to, after, he bonded them, or she bonded him.
Mm-hmm.
How quickly he just shut them down. Like they had this plan. Like, all right, we're just going to show him what's up, and he was like, "No, I'm going to show you what's up." Like it's just a further demonstration of his skill of like how far he's come along. Where he handled those two who were probably pretty darn powerful, and he just fly swatted them. It was great. I thought that was a great moment.
So, let's do a little Salad Days here because we spent a lot of time in Saladar. So let's talk a little bit further about some of the events that happen in Saladar. Varen thinks to herself that she has had almost 70 years of delicate work toward a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And Rand could ruin it. What goal is she working toward? Does anybody have any ideas?
How many years?
70. So
I do.
This well predates Rand.
No, what
you
what
mean like
would
somebody
it be?
else instead of Rand?
We don't have any other history other than like Logain being.
So he's saying another
followed.
person being the Dragon Reborn.
There's everything we've been presented with is Rand to this point.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
and that's only the last 20 years or thereabouts.
Yeah, and that's all we've seen. Well,
this plot goes back
years.
50 years. Yeah, Rand is only 20 years old.
Yeah, but it's been talked about for
so we had to
centuries.
Think when did that first foretelling happen? And was
Moraine's?
No, not Moraine.
Oh,
what
I would like to know this, Dave.
The foretelling.
I would love to know this.
The foretelling that happened when Swan was in the room. And she said he's been born.
Yeah, Moraine's and Swan's foretelling.
I can't remember if Moraine was
It's
there.
20 years old.
Well,
it happened on the day of Rand's birth.
Neither
Swan
of them did the
there.
foretelling.
I don't get it. I don't get how it's 70 years old.
Yeah, that's the confusion, and that's where I was trying to go with it. Was maybe it started that long ago with this foretelling.
But that foretelling is too recent.
That's what I'm thinking now. It's like, okay, so what else? What else could it be 70 years ago that you're trying to put into plan? If it's Rand, no one knew about Rand.
The only thing it could be is uniting the entire continent.
What could Rand screw up?
One of two things: either doing something with the White Tower, or something grander than that, where you imagine maybe the White Tower actually having the entirety of the continent under its control. That could be the only thing that I can think of.
Yeah,
that she's trying to control the whole continent.
Is siding with Andor because of Elayne. That's what I could think about Rand is screwing up.
Varen having designs on Andor would be really weird because that was Elida's domain up until the last 3 years or 2 years. Varen also reflects on the speed of Alana's temper, known amongst the Aes Sedai, and now that hothead is bonded Rand. So apparently Alana is known to be a bit of a loose cannon, and she was allowed to get that close to Rand. But, I mean, she's traveling around with Varen, so Varen trusts her to some degree, and that's Varen's misjudgment.
Yeah.
We've been wondering when men and women manifest the power, and Varen answers the question while pondering what to do next. Girls born with the spark rarely show evidence of it before the age of 15. So we get half at least of the answer, and that women usually get that around the age of 15. There's an interesting thing that Jordan is doing with Nynaeve. So let's pivot to Nynaeve for a little bit here. And her inner monologue. She's convinced of her own cowardice. She's convinced of her own cowardice, even while she does something incredibly dangerous, which is sit and eavesdrop on the tower underneath the window. She's sure that Elayne is braver than she is. This ties into like the whole thing between the boys of always thinking the other one is better with women.
Right.
And ties into Jordan's greater theme here, which is that the heroes and stories aren't, and the stories that jump out of their heroics are never nearly as heroic as they seem to be.
Well, they also have that level of humility too.
That heroic moments occur from people seeing something that has to be done and just doing it, and that it's in reflection and in storytelling that their deeds are magnified, and it seems that Nynaeve, who I think we would all agree is incredibly brave, actually doesn't believe in her own bravery here.
Well, yeah, I think it's pretty common with her in terms of she only can get angry. Also, there's that fear there as well. I think she's gonna get over it.
It's taking some time, certainly, but it seems like she's on the path.
Not
to
that
getting
much.
there,
It's been a year and a half, Dave.
Well, no, because she's had the power for longer than that too. Realize.
Well, not that she's been aware of. I think she's been aware of it for a year and a half.
Couple of things to wrap up this topic with. There have been a couple of mentions now where Nynaeve and Elayne have walked in, or Nynaeve has overheard these Aes Sedai talking about
her,
some biddable her that they want to summon. We have two occurrences of it. When the women first approach Nynaeve and Elayne in Teleron Riod, they're talking about this her that they want to summon.
How long has that been happening for?
I think that there was another
mention
mention of it earlier in the book, but there are two mentions of it in these 6 chapters.
Where's Moiraine?
You think they're talking about Moiraine?
I hope they're.
Okay.
They're going to summon Moiraine.
I hope they're summoning my beloved.
You think they're going to have a seance?
I don't know.
They're all going to jump through the rings, the melted rings you can't get back into.
I just want her back.
No, I hate to break it to you, but I think it's pretty clear that they're talking about Egwene.
Yeah, I know. But
well, then why didn't you say that?
Well, you base that on. What are you basing that on?
What am I basing it on?
Yeah.
2 things. I mean, they're looking for an Amyrlin. Egwene is the most powerful of these women. No, Nynaeve is, but Nynaeve doesn't count because she can't.
Why does it have to be these women? There's a million Aes Sedai out there that they could be talking about.
There are not a million.
Yeah,
there are
okay.
200.
I'm using hyperbole for a reason.
Oh, because we don't know any other women. I mean, Egwene just seems to be the one that fits this bill, and it seems pretty obvious. I mean,
I don't think it seems obvious at all.
First of all, they have to summon this person, so it's not somebody who's there.
Right, which is
that's
once again,
Egwene.
A million Aes Sedai.
There's an interesting dynamic that we've witnessed going on in Saladar, where you have sitters, and then you have these 6 women that are going to Teleron Riod, who are not sitters, but they are where the true power of this place lies.
Absolutely.
So the reason they use the word biddable is because they want somebody who they can control. And Egwene is going to be the youngest And she falls outside of the purview of what would qualify for this anyway. But if you want somebody that you can control, that seems to be Egwene. She just fits all of these categories.
Yeah, I mean, except for the control part. They obviously don't know her one bit.
Well, also,
they don't know her that well. That's the funny thing is they don't really know her that well.
Much time with her lately.
Right. Well, not lately. She was never in the tower. I mean, she was barely in the tower. She got sent off to hunt the Black Asha fairly early on.
She was probably there for, I would guess, for like 5-6 months.
We're also being preached to about the fact that they're not full sisters.
Right. That's the whole thing. Egwene is not an Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is obviously
we're being
a
preached
big problem.
to the fact that Nynaeve is not.
Right.
Egwene we're not really spending time with, so...
Be on the lookout for Egwene becoming.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what you're talking about, but I don't understand how she's going to become Amyrlin without being an Aes Sedai.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem they're going to have to figure out because it's a big problem.
The only way it can happen is
she would have to become Aes Sedai.
Right, and how
but
do you do that?
They don't have the
Oath Rod.
The Oath Rod, right?
Yeah, or they got to send her through the rings.
She's already been through them, though.
You have to go through that process again. I'm fairly certain. She's only.
You're supposed to.
Yes.
She's only. Yeah, I think she's got to go through the rings.
No. You go through. Oh, you go through that to become an Aes Sedai. You're right. Yes, that's definitely true.
You're supposed to go through it, but
I don't know how they're going to do that.
Right.
Either,
exactly.
because those are all in the tower.
It's in the bottom of the tower, in the basement.
So two weird things happen at the end of chapter 12 there in Saladar. First of all, Nynaeve has clearly come away from the wall just below the window where the meeting between the embassy from the White Tower and Tower 2 is occurring. And Theodrin acts as if nothing has happened when Nynaeve runs into her.
Yeah, a little odd.
That's really odd. So we have to keep our eye on Theodrin. And then there's some woman who's been watching the entire thing from a window above.
Right. Once again, we're running into a woman in a window.
So, right. So,
which before was Lanfear. So
it was Lanfear
Now
before.
who is it?
So some woman is aware that Nynaeve knows the tower's plans. That's all she would know from that, is that Nynaeve was listening in.
I just think it's like Samarag.
Well, because we
see
Samarag was in the other tower.
Like Samarag is just
but
like,
I don't know if Samarag's here, if she's still over in the other tower torching another person. I'm not sure how that timeline lines.
I have no idea. Though.
With Samarag recognize
the fact that
Mulgedian?
someone from a window is so awesome. It's
All
Halloween.
Right.
It's Halloween these days, so it's a great horror movie.
Let's move on to Forget This.
Oh boy.
Where we talk about all of the different traditions that are being broken with. So we already discussed one of them, which is whatever is going. If it is Egwene who becomes Amyrlin, that's a major breach of protocol and orthodoxy. Elayne and Savannah are two examples of leaders who are breaking with tradition to the detriment of their societies. Elayne has demoted a yellow sister who is now run off. She demoted her to accept it, and she ran away.
Yep.
That's Shamarin.
She seems to be doing away with the council, which is probably custom as well, to have people sitting there and advising the
It would be good.
Yeah,
it would be good to have.
We don't know that is one, but it just seems
situations.
But what we do know is she's chosen her keeper from an Aja that is
the white
other than her
red.
own.
Yeah.
So that's another breach.
I wonder why she did that. That seems really weird to me.
Well, no, remember Alviarin strong-armed her. Some other changes, we're quickly getting the example of how Tower 2 is breaking with tradition through turning over the control of the eyes and ears to a non-sister in Swan. Additionally, Swan was deposed because of her break with tradition, the primary example being sending a bunch of accepted after Black Aja.
Claps for Swan that she can do this with her raw personality.
Do what?
Control
herself.
Have people listen to her, even though she's talking to people that have like access to the power, and she doesn't any longer, and she's still
but they don't know that. The people she's talking to don't have to know that. Remember, those people never saw. It's a chain of command. You're just reporting to one other person, so it's only the person that you report to that you know.
Sure, but that's absolutely incredible that you're that person that has lost that insane power that you once had and then be able to deal with it and distract yourself enough that you can have the side project going on. I think I love Swan Sanchi is all I'm saying.
So Tower 2 is fighting over how they're going to control Rand. And David, as you mentioned earlier, everybody wants to control Rand. Is there any difference between what Swan and the Tower in Tower 2 are doing from what Elaida and Savannah are doing as far as just their desire to control Rand?
No, I don't. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the issue is your word of control, and I think they both want to control.
And Elayne also wants control over Rand. She wants to bond him, which I also don't think is cool.
Well, I don't think she doesn't want to bond him without his permission, though. That's the difference. I mean,
no,
she wants to
she
bond
probably
him,
doesn't, but
been...
she still wants to bond him so that
he's hers.
So she can have control over him to a degree.
See, I don't know that it's control. I don't think it's control of Elayne. I think she just wants that. I think she wants that connection.
In terms of that.
I think she wants that connection. I think she wants that bond to be hers and hers alone.
Well, one person who did definitely break with tradition and bond Rand was Alana.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Major violation.
I do not get this. I do not get this.
Oh, I get it from a strategy standpoint.
No, I do from a strategy standpoint, but I do not like when it comes to warding in terms of this book series. I don't understand what it truly means. I know it's not great.
Well, it infuriated me. I mean, it's really...
But the fact that, like, it could get away with being done,
well,
this can't be good.
It can't get undone now that I know of.
It just cannot be good.
I mean,
yeah, I don't think... I'm not counting on this being undone. This is a thing now that Rand is going to have to deal with.
Oh, it's no good.
How annoying.
Yeah.
It's infuriating, and the funny thing is, right before he did it, he reflected on what Moiraine had told him, and not to trust an Aes Sedai, and he thought that he thought to himself, well, it's only two of them, and I can handle these two. And in one sense, he can, but on the other sense, these women just seem to be doing whatever occurs to them as a good idea. And they think that they're so powerful that they are the end all be all of their decisions.
So, do you think Varen knew this was going to happen?
No, Varen, when she pulls Alana into the dining room afterwards, she clearly indicates she had no idea.
So, I mean,
Alana just did this on her own.
Yeah.
I keep getting back on the subject over and over again, and it's really dumb. But Rand has 3 loves in his life that are supposed to happen. Now Alana is coming in here.
Yeah.
Is that one?
No, but that'd be a complication for the other 3 to deal with.
I think we know who the other 3 are.
Yeah,
Do we know that for a fact, though? We're only in book, what? Like, we're not even halfway through.
You might not. David and I are pretty sure we know who the other 3 are.
Well,
that's dumb.
No, it's not dumb.
Say that.
Well, we can't say it. It's all there in the stuff that we've read.
We've read it. It's just educated guesswork on our part.
It's pretty clear.
Sure, it's pretty clear, but that would also be you're in the 7th book, and this is being presented in a very interesting way that Alana is just going to be making him aware of the fact that she's there all the time.
Well, not even that. You're making it sound as if it's active. It's passive that he's going to be aware of her and her emotions all the time.
My conversation is, I'm wondering if Alana is going to be the 3rd instead of Elayne.
Okay. Instead of who?
Elayne, Egwene, or Min, who we haven't.
You just named the 3, though, so you're certain of those 3 women also.
I don't understand her marking him as her warder.
Alana?
How that was even possible.
Well, I mean, once again, from a strategy standpoint, and she explains it, it makes absolute sense.
Oh, yeah, but I don't get how it's
wrong.
possible.
I mean, except for the fact that Alana's not a great strategist. We don't have any evidence of Elayne being an amazing strategist who's going to.
We don't have a ton.
I think she makes moves, though.
Now the other thing,
she makes moves with Varen. Varen's essentially sort of guiding Elayne around, and pseudo fostering her behavior.
I think the other portion to think about and remember is she lost a warder. Now she's replaced it with another one.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. Dave.
Right. Once again,
that is a very good point.
She's a loose cannon. All the more reason why she should not be the person who has the track.
I'm not disagreeing that she should not be the one to have the bond, but for strategy or not, and there's going to be
Dave. We also get presented with Varen, like talks about how it took her 10 years to get over her order.
Yvonne.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So she just replaced it, but now they have a link or hold or connection to Rand that they didn't have before. Now, the good news out of all of this, they seem to be part of Tower 2. They seem to be connected to T2.
I
don't trust in Tower 2.
I would agree that I think that's where they're going to end up as well, but they equivocate over that idea.
Yeah, there's no way that they're going back to Elida. There's just no way, because Varen's got her own plans, and she's not going to run under Elida's game. I cannot see that happening.
I would agree with that.
And not only that, because they say
they
say they're taking the girls to Saladar.
I don't think they do. They don't decide because they're still going to wander around a little bit. They need to make up their mind. I don't think they've made up their mind yet. I would agree with you that Varen seems to me to be aligned with Moiraine and Swan, but remember that she insinuated her way into that conversation of Rand. She seemed to know a lot more, and she seems to know a lot more about what's going on and be aware of the prophecies and how they tie together. Aside from
I will say this,
Moiraine and Swan, she seems to be the most informed Aes Sedai.
Sure.
And because of that, and because of what we know, the fact that she's been running her own game for 70 years, she also could just decide to go off and do her own thing as well.
I agree with that. You have been questioning this individual for, I think, 3 books?
Yes, I find her fascinating.
I think you have been, because all we know is that she has been placed there from Moiraine because she is, what do you call her, a scholar? She's a Brown?
Yeah, she's a Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's a scholar. But I think for some reason in this book, and the first time she was presented, I questioned her in a way that I never had before, and you have been for 2 books.
She isn't on anybody's side except her own, it seems to me.
She's got plans. At this point, I'm not distrusting her plans, though.
I don't know.
Because every evidence we've been given so far has been fine.
Be though, and they don't.
No, but we need. Yeah. But that's definitely something we need to keep an eye on. All right. Well, forget that, and forget her, and forget this. Dave, who was your Coplin of the week?
Oh, Nicola. I don't like her. Every instance of Nicola being brought up, she's just like she rubs me the wrong way.
Nicola.
Yeah.
She barely appears.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
I don't get.
We've had her in another instance before, though.
We have?
Yeah, we'd have, where she was a bit high and mighty.
Okay.
And I just don't like her attitude. There's something about her that bothers me.
Mine was Alana.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an obvious choice.
I get that. I'm right there with you.
She might be my permanent Coplin of the week.
I don't want to be because yeah.
The funny thing about that is it's not going to really work well for her either.
No.
Because she's bonded to Rand, who's in love with 3 women, and she's going to feel all that emotion going on in her head.
But what 3 women?
Plus the insanity.
Well, yeah, plus the insanity. Serenity now, insanity later.
And also,
not only that, the pain.
What's going on with and the pain, right? The wound in Rand's side that won't heal.
Yeah. Sorry.
So Adam,
go ahead.
Who are you? Wait. Who you got?
Alana's absolutely. I'm just scared of her. Also,
why?
It's the Coplin of the week. I'm scared of her because she's in a position of somewhat power.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, sure. Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And if she's in peril or hurt, Rand's really going to feel it.
And yeah, it just makes me nervous.
Who leveled up? Dave.
It's going to be Rand. Just in the instance of how he, once again, was my Will of the week, and just how we just see more power up. more power of him, just how he handled the two Aes Sedai. I mean, now he's got two powerful sisters that he can. I wonder how many he can do this with. Like, what's the stretch? What's his limit? How many people can he shield all at one time? Like, he's growing considerably in his strength and his powers, and not only that, but we had the instance of him with the conversation running in his head, and he was able to shut it up.
Mm-hmm.
He's never been able to make that voice just shut up.
Well, he did. He did in chapter 1 or 2.
I thought it got scared and got shut up.
Right. Yes.
In this case, it was like him confronting it.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was kind of new and hopefully a good development. I mean,
yeah, we don't get as much Mad Rand in this as we did in the first 6 chapters.
Yeah. Now, obviously, my concern is, as we discussed, he's now letting Taim run about willy-nilly, recruiting people, but he's got they've got to build it up. He's got to do that. So, but yeah.
For me, Elayne leveled up. She's the one that enters the nightmare, that knows what the problem is. She identifies it right away. Everybody's in there fighting. She tries to resolve it from outside, realizes that they're not powerful enough, and does an incredibly brave thing to enter the dream, and still maintains her control under incredible duress, and ends up, getting them out of the nightmare and returning everybody back to their beds safely. So, way to go, Elayne. Adam, it's you.
Mine is Fael, and the fact that she confronted Alana and said, "You don't do this to my man."
And probably not such subtle tones.
Yeah, I mean, if Rand had somebody like that around, maybe this stupid bonding thing wouldn't have happened.
Well, the interesting thing is,
if Elayne was around,
we barely hear about what's going on in the Two Rivers, kind of, and that's a big deal. Good for her.
Yeah,
because she bugged us so much.
That wraps up episode 3 here. Join us for episode 4 when we will cover chapters 13 through 18. Until then, may you rest in the Creator's hand.
May you know good hunting, young bull, and cheese to give you many cubs.
Dovian de Setovius again.